Welcome to the second Boone Avenue Walls Artist Talk. I'm Kurt Boone. I'll be your moderator for tonight, and I'm super excited. We have two of the most dynamic mural artists in New York City, King B and BG 183, and we're going to have a conversation about mural making in the Bronx, but also the whole city, and in the case of BG, around the world making murals. But first, I'm going to thank our host, which is Inspiration Point. We're in this beautiful building, and they're allowing us to use their space. And then I'm going to open it up to our two key sponsors, which is Bronx Historical Society, and then right after that, it will be WEN, who's the curator of Boone Avenue Walls. So, Dr. Stephen Payne, please come up.
All right. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, King B and BG, for being here. Thank you, all of y'all, for being here on a Friday night. There's a lot of stuff going on in the summer in New York City, and honored that y'all are choosing to spend a Friday night here with us. Should be a great talk tonight, and as Kurt mentioned, it's the second in a series of talks leading up to the Boone Avenue Walls Festival. And the Bronx Historical Society were involved in putting on these talks and supporting the Boone Avenue Walls Festival too. There's such a rich history of graffiti and street art in the Bronx, and we're barely even scratching the surface with these three talks, and they're hours long each. So there's so much more that we're doing and that we plan to do in the future around all of this history. So come check us out. Come, I'm sure a lot of y'all know the graph writers and artists here already, but talk to BG, King B. There's other writers in the audience too. If you're interested in it, there's just a wealth of history to be had. So yeah, just want to give a quick shout out again to Inspiration Point for hosting us. As you all can see right here, there's a big cube right in the middle here, and it's really a throwback to Fashion Moda. Any of y'all went to Fashion Moda back in the day when it was up? Okay, yeah. So, it was a cool art space in the South Bronx that was up from 1978 to 1993, I think. And in 1980, they had a maze that this is a throwback to. There's a lot of great writers that are all on the walls, inside and outside. Crash BG is all over here. The TATS crew in general is all in here. Check it out if you haven't. You can wander through. It's not that hard of a maze, but I got a little lost in there myself. Anyway, but it's a great space that we're in. Also, I think it's really poetic in a way that we're doing a bunch of graph stuff here, because this is, of course, the former site of Spofford, and many graph writers did some time in Spofford, maybe a lot of time in Spofford, depending on how many times. So glad that we can kind of reverse that history some and reclaim the space a little bit with this history. So I'll shut up talking now. You're not here to hear me talk. And let me hand things over to WEN, the curator of Boone Avenue Walls. 11 years going strong now, beautifying the Bronx.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to thank everyone for coming out on a Friday night, as Stephen was saying. And I want to thank Daniel and Inspiration Point, and Kurt Boone, the visionary that he is, and continues to expand and expound on what we're doing out here as a culture. August 23rd, August 24th, we have our 11th anniversary. This year we'll actually be expanding, I guess you want to say, to Hunts Point. So we'll be outside in the courtyard with some art cubes. About 12 artists will be painting the art cubes, and we have about 15 artists painting across the street in the warehouses. Sunday we'll be having some live music performances in the courtyard, as well as a kind of graffiti contest on the art cubes sponsored by MTN. And so some of the younger artists, none of the veterans will really be competing, but this will be more for the younger artists, and there's a cash prize and a paint prize, and we're looking forward to that. Today we're here for the business of murals in the Bronx. Two of my favorite guys, BG 183, King B. I have a history with them both, and I love these guys, and I just want to thank everyone for coming out and enjoy.
Hey, thank you, Wayne. Much appreciated. So I just want to give a little shameless plug. My role in this experience is I'm a photographer, and I take pictures of the street art, and then I collect them and I make books. So I met Win about 3 years ago. Told him I love what he was doing, and I photographed many of the walls, and I put out this little compilation of many of the walls they've done. And it's called the Boone Avenue Walls, Beautifying the Bronx. And if you don't have it, come see me afterwards. All right, so let's get it going. So I like doing these talks a lot. I mean, and I always start off with this simple question to the artists. Since most of these artists are using aerosol art, spray paint cans, I find it kind of like a unique skill of like, how do they learn how to do that? Because I can't hold a spray paint can. I'm the worst at it. So my first question, I'll just start off with BG 183. How did you kind of get into the graffiti arts movement, and what did it take to learn how to handle a spray paint can?
Wow, it wasn't easy because the time that I started back in 1980, there was like no school to learn how to do graph. So you really had to become like a graffiti artist by trying to follow all the artists that was out there. So, like and when I went to James Monroe High School, there was like a few graffiti artists that was there. So I tried to mix in with them, and they didn't show me no love because at that time it only like if you was like a real graffiti art, they will let you in, but I was still considered a toy. A toy is like a beginner of the game, so I was still a toy. So I was always rejected, no matter what I did. Say if I did a tag or I did like little characters, they didn't care. So, so for me, I had to go push my own self to learn. So I went racking. That the first time I went racking, because I heard that you have to still paint to become a graffiti artist. So I went, I stole paint, and after I stole paint, I stole like maybe 2 cans. So I started practicing with the 2 cans. I think the first time I probably hold the can, I think I sprayed my eyes because I didn't know like which way the hole was gonna come from. So, there's no schools. Like now you Google everything, YouTube, but back then, you really had to learn. So then I found somebody in my neighborhood that knew how to do like some work. So he showed me how to use a can. But even then, I was still getting rejected from other graffiti artists. So the more I try to get close to them, the more they like, yo, you too close to us. Like, go away. Like, what you doing here? So I started going up by myself, and I did my first train. I jumped down, did my first throw up after I practiced every day. My heart was beating because I had to go into the track and really do a train. And I came back up and I went to the group of guys again. And I asked, told them, look, I just did a train. They said, wow, you did a train? What, you did one train? There's like 10 cars. So I said, oh, all right, let me go back and maybe, I told them, yeah, I did 10 cars. And I went back, I did 10 cars. And after I did 10 cars, I went back and I told them, they're like, oh, you did the other side of the 10 cars? I said, oh man, so it's like more of a mission. It's like 10 cars in the front, 10 cars in the back. So I went there and then, you know, I still didn't know how to use a spray can. So
So were you just doing like tags? And what name were you using?
I was, at that time, again, I came up with a name, Bring. Bring was my name. So it was too long, Bring. So I just took the B and the G. And then somebody said, or I was actually battering somebody like for style. I was getting now we're getting nice. And he said I had like 183 styles. So I said, okay, that sounds good. So I put BG 183 and then, the rest is history.
You suck.
It just started, learning, but it took me almost like like months to learn how to really use a spray can. It's not like, like you learn and you really had to be really quick because back then the spray can was really fast. So when you spray, you got to spray like really quick because or no, you get drips. And I remember my first piece on the train, it had so much drip on it.
Yeah.
And but when people saw it, they said, "Yo, we love what you did." I said, "What?" I got drip, but I think they just love how I did the colors and everything else. But like picking up a can was kind of hard, but but when you love something that you love to do, that was the only art form that I enjoyed. And because I was getting chased by police, I was like, like going into places that no one would like to go to. Like if I asked my two friends, come with me, we're gonna paint the tunnel, and we would look into the tunnel, and I would jump in. They said, and I'll look at my two friends. They're like, I'm not going in there. I said, why? You don't hear the rats in there? I said, yeah, but you got to go in there. Like it's real dark in there. Like I said, come on, let's do this, and they'll be scared. So, like graffiti was not for everybody. You know what I'm saying? For me, I took it like it was like my backyard. Like enjoying. I was born and raised in the South Bronx, so seeing like the tonal, seeing rats was like nothing for me. So I
Okay,
just
all
kept
right.
doing it.
All right. All right. So, King B, same question for you. Like, how did you get into graffiti arts and how did you develop your skill with the spray paint can?
Well, I was always into art since I was a kid. As far as I remember, I was always into art, not into graffiti, but into art. So when I was in high school, my last year of high school, is when I started experimenting with the spray cans. But back then, it was mostly just Krylons and Rust-Oleums. It's not like the paint today, where it's controlled, with the caps and the pressure. So it wasn't an easy beginning. It was practice. Practice makes perfect. So going on missions, doing the illegal part of the grab, the bridges, the schoolyards at night, that was the practice part, finding a spot and spray painting, spray painting what you can, and I guess after time you develop your hand, develop that movement, that skill movement, and that, I mean, you get it to where you good enough where you exceed. Now you're getting more, your pieces become more hardcore, and you get more involved, and you start doing nicer pieces. And from there, I guess, um, started. I guess I would like to say graduating to the next level, starting more foundation spots, meaningful spots, and that's where it became. And from there, that's where eventually somebody see you, they like something you like that you do, and they hire you to do it, maybe a barber shop or a fruit stand, or the nearest bodega. And from there, you already know.
Right. Okay. So, growing up in the Bronx, did the subway era inspire you to be
Oh,
a muralist? Because you didn't really do the trains early on, right?
yes, most definitely. Yes, the one train. Cause I went to John F. Kennedy High School, and you see the train going over the bridge when it goes to the Bronx of Manhattan. That was an inspirational right there. We had several cats in Kennedy that did trains. But of course, yeah, the train was definitely a movement, an inspiration.
So you didn't really want to go in the tunnels per se?
Oh, I had strict parents. You know what I mean? I was not able to hang out no 3 in the morning, 1 in the morning. I had to be at home at 10 o'clock.
That's a really good reason.
Very good.
Right. All right, great. Okay, so BG, before you became like well known and making murals, you already alluded to doing the trains. So that experience going into the yard, you mentioned a little bit about how dangerous it was. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience? Did you plan it out, or you just went whenever you felt like it?
Like, let's go to the yards. Me and my crew would say, like, I don't know what's in the yard. Like, you just went and you just scouted out. You looked, you cut the gate open. you go in and you go into the yard, and and the thing is, you have to go paint. So that's what my mission was. I wanted to put my name on the train. Didn't matter what, the condition. I was ready. Like, if somebody came and a police came, I was ready to run. But we always found like spots that was good. Like well, after we did the tunnels, we doing layers, and the layer became the yards. The yards was like, we could be there all day. We have like our own Coke 45 beer. We will be drinking, smoking, and painting. And my crew will be like all together. And I think the same thing that we do now, like when we paint murals, we also painting the same way on the train. We would get together and have a plan. And with
Okay.
that plan, became what we was doing. But to be scared, to be I didn't we didn't see that. We just saw that we had to paint our name on a train, and that was our focus, just to paint. And you know, like I said earlier, it's not for everybody. Not everybody could go and paint a yard or paint a tunnel, because you have to have that fear, like, like, oh, I could do it. But after that, it's just all like enjoying everything that we did. Like, we went racking, we went everywhere just to make sure that we had like the perfect colors. When we rack, we rack also the caps that was on, like on like we would go to the supermarket and we would take the cap from like different detergents, and that would be that fat cap. That would be everything that we do. So we had to learn everything about graph, from like hopping the train, like getting to our destination, because we didn't have no money. So we just had to go and just enjoy everything.
So, some people may not in the audience may not know what racking is. Could you kind of tell them a little bit about what racking is, and then maybe some of the stores you would go in? Because you grew up in the Bronx, so I've heard stories of artists going to different boroughs and
Yeah, so for us, for me, it was racking. It was like you became a thief, a shoplifter. That's what you was. So we make sure that you put your T-shirt inside your pants, and then you take the can and put it right under here, and then slide it back. You get like 7 or 8 cans, and then you try
wow.
to sneak out without people hearing the can going, ting, ting, like the sound of the can. And you look, and by that time, they didn't have no cameras in the stores. So, they had like one security guard. He probably was eating something. So you would go and break out with can. But the time that we started racking, it was kind of hard for us, because we had like the early pioneers of graffiti artists back in the 70s who burned out every rack place. So me, I'm the third generation in the 80s, so it was hard for us to get paint. So now you had gates in front of the paint. You couldn't go racking, so we had to leave. Okay, we can't rack in the Bronx anymore, so we went to Yonkers. We had to go all the way to Connecticut, and sometimes some of us didn't came back because we got caught, so it was hard time. And then in that time, you see another graffiti artist with paint, so my man,
Take it from yeah.
I don't know you, but I have to take your can. Oh, I think you got good sneakers on too. Your sneakers come. Your chain, everything. Like a lot of writers were stick up kids. They just did it because you could rob somebody in the tunnel. He's not gonna tell the police, oh, I was in the tunnel painting. He's not gonna say nothing. So you took everybody's stuff, whatever it was, and their crew was weak, and we had a big crew, so it was kind of easy for us to do it.
Okay, no, that's a great story. So King B, speaking on crews, King B, you're one of the founders of the Urban Warrior Crew. How how that crew come about, and who were some of the members of that crew early on?
Well, it started in Kennedy. It was me and my sister and like several writers that they were like, I guess you call them school kids because they didn't go nowhere. They just wrote in books and in the school area. you know. And then eventually, when I met Nev, and then met others that were interested in the game, had a little style, but they didn't have it there. Nev used to work in a paint store, so Nev always used to get my paint. You know, so me and him would go along and do our thing. This, you know, whoever was around us, that's who joined in. And you already know everybody got a name, everybody got a nickname, and that was the name. Whoever rode with us, they get their paint, they rode with us. Many a times, they didn't have no skills. They'll come with the paint, but I have to do their name. So when I finish mine, I have to do their name. Not only have to go do my name, I'm creating a style for them. So I guess that's why I got developed so quickly with my lettering and creating different styles, creating styles for each one of them. And then eventually, real writers started joining, people that had skills or did some work themselves. And like always, it always starts as many, and then it ends up the few. Only the few ends up in the game, and then the real ones stay in the game. Because remember, you grow up and you got a mouth to feed. You know, you got kids. You got, you know what I mean. You got to get a job. You can't stay in this forever. So the true ones stay in it. The true, real artists stay in it and stay in the game.
So I interviewed you before, and you mentioned Sess was a part of the crew at one point.
Yes,
Cope 2 did some
yes,
work with
yes.
UW.
Well, a lot of them people before FX, a lot of the people in FX was UW boys, Sess, Per, Cole, Omi Nomad. It's a lot of us that was, you know what I mean, and then eventually became some members of them FX. But before that, it was just growing. You know what I mean? Pose 2 came in the mix. Bomb 5 used to be from the trains. He joined us. The Vase 1. Then next you know, we started having people from Boston. Because, you know what I mean? It just started branching out. People from Florida. It just started growing, you know? And eventually people that was here in New York that now grew up, they moved out. So they grew over there because they were still doing it. So that's just why UW was like all spread out all over here in the States, you know, because we're branched out here in New York.
All right, good, good. So BG, when did you do your first mural in the Bronx, and do you remember what it was?
Wow, I did a lot of murals in the Bronx, so don't really. But in the '80s, I remember African Bambaataa paid us. So we was doing work, getting paid back in the '80s. I actually painted inside Bronx River Center, and it was me and Brim. African Bambaataa said, paint whatever, paint the stage, paint whatever characters you want. So me and Brim did the Zulu Nation. I did some 3 characters on the side. On the stage, we painted some records and some graffiti rock. That was something that we was trying to do. And then I did Electric Boogie on the other side. And, and that's the first time, really, really doing a mural that I think, like, if you ever YouTube like body rock, anything like that, you will see all the graffiti that's there, and then all that graffiti was done by me. It doesn't say graffiti by BG. They say, Cool Herc and Red Alert, everybody else. But that was something that, like, I never thought that that was gonna blow up when we did it. And I think that's one of the good mural. And then the other one would be like maybe the Big Pun. Everybody know the Big Pun mural because that, he was like the first Puerto Rican rapper to go platinum. So, and he was a good friend of mine. So we painted him like about 9 times. Like the artist of Task Crew is like Bio, Nisa. We have like Mac, Sam, Shane 125, Raz. Like we got Totem from Atlanta. We got Howard Nasm, the twins. So, we just started like establishing ourselves as a crew, but not inviting everybody to be part of the crew, like you have to have the dedication, like I want to be a graffiti artist, but yet you're going to work, and you're doing something else for like to be like something that you got to do it like 100%. So everybody that's part of the crew, we was doing 100%. Like, we dedicated, you know, live. We started like different rules about how to become a mural artist. Like when we started our business, we had nothing to like go by. Like, there was no other crew or no other company that was doing murals or graffiti. So we had to do it on our own. So we had to learn from trial and error. Like one time they gave us a job. They said, you're gonna make a couple $100. We're like, oh, that's cool, a couple hundred.
Yeah.
So we got paid, and he went 100, 200. And he said, what happened? He said, a couple, and couple is two. So, so we had to learn how to do business. So,
Yeah.
in the beginning, you learn, and then, right now, we're fortunate that, we got ourselves a lawyer that broke down, like, what is an artist. If you're going to paint some kind of art, like say that I painted that with King B, and on any wall, and somebody come and take a photo of it, you know, without my permission, they can't put that in a book. Or they say, oh, but I took it from a different angle. It doesn't matter. It's still my image. I still control that image. So any image that you do, even if you take a tag on a car and then somebody take a picture of it, they can't use it. Yeah, so why? It wasn't in my car, but it's the image that you left. So, so the more we talked to the lawyer, the more they broke it down to us, like, this is what you should do and what not to do. And, so
So yeah, so you're saying public art is public art, but you still own the rights to your artwork,
correct.
even though it's
Even
on
then, like,
in the
like
public.
like you did a book saying
Yeah.
that if I want to, I go after you.
Yeah, yeah, all right.
So,
Yeah. That's true. That's true. And
so
I do a lot of books. So, all
you
right.
know.
Yeah. Okay.
So, like
Yeah.
that's, it's all business. It's nothing personal. It's all business, like
All right. Okay.
I'll see you later.
Yeah. All right. All right. So King B, same question. When did you do your first mural in the Bronx? And do you remember what it was?
Mural? You mean mural what? A mural, or you mean
Mural-wise, meaning, your first one that you can remember. Was it on a grocery store?
oh
Because I could say a piece on the wall, but a piece on the wall is, I don't know if it's
more than just a
considered
piece? You're
mural.
saying more than just a piece? You're saying
Yeah. So it's more like you put something into it.
maybe
Yeah.
maybe a barber shop doing or making like the character, the name, the scenery,
Right.
something like that. I think it was the barber shop. Can't remember.
All right. Yeah, I could understand that. But as you were doing your work in the streets, did companies see your work and reach out to you and say, hey, do you want to do something for us?
Yeah, eventually that's what happens. They want something else done, maybe something bigger or something in their homes. We gotta remember a lot of indoor stuff we do too. You know what I mean? Not just outdoors. So the things that you see just outdoors, you may think what we do indoors. But yeah. Then eventually what happened? Doing things for big companies. Yeah, things for Bacardi. I remember the Youngland was big to me because they all had different stores. The Kid City, and then came the Rite Aid. You know what I mean? The Rite Aid, they saw it on Burnside that it lasted many years without being defaced. So this is why I started doing the Rite Aids. And they started giving me the other locations, and it kept on for years. You know what I mean? So now, they went bankrupt, so that's gone. Got to find a new gig.
Yeah.
A new big gig.
And so King B, you did the main wall at the Graffiti Hall of Fame for many years. Could you talk a little bit about
Yeah,
what goes into a King B production? It's not just you run out there and paint.
Right.
There's some planning
Yeah, well,
stages behind
the
it.
big wall, we do the big wall outside. TATS crew, they do the one outside. The inside is the big wall. Yeah, I had that thing since 2010. I held it down. And through Joey, you know, it always got to be something elaborate, you know, something that communicate with the kids, kind of, or something to do reference with graph. You know what I mean? But that was a mission because we had to come, I think, a week or two before the main event. You know, come with the scaffolds, the ladders, and most of the time, Joey did not have the supplies because he burned his bridges. So it had to come out from our pocket and our time. You know what I mean? But I held it down for Joey. But that was good. You know. But now somebody else got it, somebody in control of it, so that's good.
So did you sketch it out
Sketch
before you?
it.
Oh, you don't do it like that. You just
Well,
talk to each artist and you come up with an idea.
Well, most of the time I come up with a concept, and always near the last minute I'll know who the players are. So as they place the name, I work around it. You know, and some of them can't go on high, so I got to keep them low. I got to know who's going to be on top, who's going to be in the bottom. You know, it's crazy, but I always end up putting it together. Me and Vase always end up putting it together. You know, but it works. You
So it's
know,
very organized.
I won't call it organized. You know what I mean? Kind of unorganized, organized. How about that?
Yeah. All right. Great. Great. So, BG, how briefly just tell us a little bit about how the task crew came up and the slogan, the Mural Kings, and your influence in pioneering urban graphic design. You guys are kind of like a lead into that whole mural arts movement and street graphics.
Right. So, like for us, again, we started on the subways. We always was always together, painting together. So when we started painting walls in our community, you know, I would paint something that in the neighborhood. I will look to the left and I see a building, so I draw a building. If I see some trees, I would draw a tree. If I see a hydrant, I put a hydrant. So we just plan really with no plan, because sometimes when you just go and just freestyle, doing something that you love, it's not like you're getting paid to do a color. Like when we do advertising for Coca-Cola or for T-Mobile, they want a particular color. But for us, when we go out there to paint, we just painting the way we want to paint. Like if I want to put yellow that day, because I'm happy, and put red because I feel that that red is good color for that neighborhood. So I just take everything that's part of the neighborhood and I just put it together with the guys. So, and we've been doing this so much that we have a plan A that would be like a tropical scenery. Plan B would be city landscape, or then C would be like characters, and D, we just paint. Whatever comes out, it comes out, and then somebody will walk by like, "Yo, I know what your guys are trying to do," and we like, "What? What we doing?" They say, "You guys are creating a mural that describe about the space," and they're like, "Yeah, that's what we doing."
All right. All right.
Like
Yeah.
this is what we do. Like we paint our community. We be careful what we do because we don't paint nothing that's like drug related or something sexual or something that's violence. We want to paint something that when people walk by, they could have a conversation. Like you will walk by a mural and two people that never spoke to each other, and they're looking at it, and each one will have their own idea of what this mural is about.
Yeah.
And so at the same time we put in colors, like when we started landing like contract with Coca-Cola, you know why we're going to go all the way to Manhattan, why we can't do it in the Bronx. So we started painting a lot of murals in the Bronx, and it was not easy getting walls, but we learn how to do this. But this is how the format work. Like we just take an idea. Nice man may have an idea, or Bio may have an idea, or I have an idea, or no, we just say let's do something. I could sketch something first, and then everybody put a sketch, and that would be the idea that we do it on the wall. And I think with that, it's just more organic because it's true to what we're doing. And I think people respect us. Like before, cops used to chase us. Now cops be like, you hear the sirens, and it be like, "What's up, task crew?" We're like, "Hey, what up?"
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. You.
so this is
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
because the more we paint in our community, the more people show us love. Like when we first started, we didn't have a face. Nobody knew who was a graffiti artist. Now, but now you see like younger generation, they be going like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my work. Me.
Yeah, yeah.
But for me, like I like showing myself, like to represent something that I love. Like I started as an artist, and I knew somehow I was gonna make it as an artist, but I didn't know it was because I was gonna become a graffiti artist, and now I paint murals. So
But
it's
you guys
incredible.
made the Bronx a special place. Like you guys really love it. Your home base has been here for years. Your guys could have moved, but just stayed here, which is great. So your love for the Bronx is really paramount.
Right. So like our office is not too far. We like maybe 3 blocks away. We located at a place called The Point. And The Point is a place, it's a nonprofit organization that been there for years. They do a lot of community work. And we were fortunate that we based our office there because, we worked with each other and that made us like, who we are now. And like, now we have, like my friend Crash, he runs this place here. I think this is a dope, like he's one of the artists that he don't even need to be painting out in the street, but he does. You got Crash, Days, and these two guys. They real famous. They don't have to spend no time painting with no one, but they
Right.
do. They dedicate they. I think in the end of the day, it's just it's for the love that they have for the graph, and they ready to paint. Like we're gonna be painting the Hall of Fame. King B gonna be painting the Hall of Fame, and we just go there and we just paint. And we're gonna paint something for like for Jory TDS. Jory TDS, he the one who was running the Hall of Fame. He just passed away this year. So we're gonna do like a little dedication for him. I'm gonna be painting his the image of him on the wall. And I think doing something like that is just bring the community of graffiti artists together, because as a graffiti artist, like it's kind of hard because it's always like yeah, I'm this is this crew, this is this crew, but like for us as writers, we should just become more bigger because graffiti artists is worldwide. You could go to China, you go to Japan, everybody got lead jacket, they got like, painted stuff.
Yeah.
And learning the stuff that we did here, that we started it back in the 70s, and now it's all over. But I think the community of graph writer should be getting more together, like for us task crew, we paint with UW, we paint with we used to paint with FX. We started painting with everybody around the world. I think that's what make our crew a little different from others, because not only that we paint, we also share information. Like, sometimes some artists come through and like, yo, man, I need to know, like, like what to do. And we break it down to them, in a sense of even like I want to sue somebody, or I want to get involved to open up my own company. And the first thing I told them, to become an artist, you're gonna become a starving artist, because it's kind of hard to make it out there, because you're competing with hundreds and thousands of artists that's doing the same thing. But to become an artist, you have to learn how to accept yourself. Like you got to be like, okay, I could be an artist. I could, some artists could actually just talk. Talk a good one, and people paying millions of dollars. Some people have to struggle and paint something to get $1 million. And then some people could do both and can and never get nowhere. So it just gotta be the love for it. I did it because I just loved doing it, and I just kept doing it, and people started noticing my work, and I'm still broke.
Yeah. So okay, so we're gonna get in. We got a special treat for the audience. We have a lot of pictures of the murals these two artists did, and we're gonna get ready to go into that in a minute. I just wanted to ask you to about your motif, if it is. So you do a lot of the fire hydrants. In King B, you do a B, but since you mentioned the fire, is a fire hydrant a motif or just something you just do to add to your work?
I think it became like my signature. I started it one day. We painted up in Brooklyn, and I just wanted to do something that was kind of difficult to do because it had like different shape, different angle, and also it was like me growing up. Like I drank water from the hydrant, and also it meant everything to me. So when I started doing it, it just people said, well, "Oh, I like that idea. Just keep doing it." So and now I just do it, and it's just part of my signature. When I paint something, they're like, "Oh, what's the hydrant?" Like I see what you're doing, but you got to put the hydrant.
Yeah, yeah. The water's blasting out.
Yeah.
How about you, King B? You got the B, and what's the story behind your motif?
Well, the B is everything. It's part of my name, I started doing it because I know that everybody can't read the graph. Everybody can't read that, what it says down there, but they can sure recognize that B. And without the B, it needs pollination, was this, without certain foods we won't have, and then I started learning more about it. It's different kind of bees. There's different color bees, different sizes of bees, more to it. So like a bee nation. Got more intrigued by it, so now I'm like doing other bees too. But I always have to represent that one because people, they recognize that one. But there are more coming.
There are more coming. So because it stings people, it stings you. It could hurt you.
I wish I could sting people.
All right, so Steve, let's go into the first slideshow. Okay, so King B, we're gonna run a bunch of photos by you. Briefly, like tell us about each piece.
Just when I was doing some trucks for a minute, Dean was getting me these trucks. He'll call me, okay, I got another truck to do, you know what I mean? So you'll always see two sides with something with me, and one side is always a Dean. That one over there is with me and sent to, that was a Boone Wall, as a matter of fact, a Boone Wall now. Yeah, we sent to it. I put caution, a B sign caution. Yeah, just to, attract the masses.
And maybe is there a cope inside that too, or no?
Wait, yeah, there is. I see it.
All right, cool. Yeah, we'll go to the next slide.
This is the last big one I did. This is Tracy 168 had this spot for a long time. It's a wood lumber spot, and I finally got it. So the guy didn't want to pay top money, so I told him let me just do some names, and I invited Kurz, Pose, several members of the crew, and I told him I'll keep this blue top with the green bottom. You know what I mean? Because I've already adapted that doing the Rite Aids, so I got a formula for that, and I do it quick, and he liked it.
And that's in the Bronx?
That's in the Bronx, yes.
All right, next
West
slide.
Avenue.
Oh, this is the work that's when I first met you.
You know it more than me.
Yeah, well, it's a commission piece, but
Yeah.
it's Volatari and Zizag was
Yeah, I
the
think that was
piece, so
me, and I forgot this guy's name. That was another artist,
that's
James
another
Top Boy.
artist, yeah. So that's inside a store, so
Yeah,
it's
that
not
was
there
that
no
store.
more. This one's the Bronx Zoo.
Yeah, no, this is Kingsbridge.
Queens-
Kingsbridge Avenue, yeah,
But
Jerome.
you just put the Bronx Zoo there.
I put everything related with the Bronx. You see all the names, Gun
Yeah,
Hill
Gun Hill
Road,
Road.
Penn Parkway, yeah, all the, Botanical Garden here.
There's a one train.
Yeah,
four
all the
train.
train lines, yeah, something for the Bronx.
Right. Not to interject, but PG, you actually had a fun project with the Bronx Zoo. Could you talk a little bit about your particular project? Those has nothing to do with his mural,
Right.
but you guys did a fun project.
Yeah, we did like a project with the Bronx Zoo, and that was fun because it was the first time they wanted to use hip hop and Bronx Zoo got together. So they had like Melly Mel, they had Grandmaster Cass, they had us as graffiti artists. I think they had K Love that she was involved with it, and it was supposed to be like again trying to bring the Bronx Zoo more life, more like tourism to come through the hip hop. So we created some prints for it. Me and Bio Nice did some prints, and we actually painted live in the Bronx Zoo. We painted like a total of maybe like 6 canvases that day. You know, it was fun to do something with them because, you know, like graph is now getting to places that we can't, you know, that's going to places that we thought would never be, like us and the Bronx Zoo, you know. So it was an honor for us to be part of that.
Yeah, yeah, it's a world famous zoo too. So, all right, next slide.
Oh, that one I did with Per. That was it for that. Remember that storm in Puerto Rico?
Oh, it's in Puerto Rico. Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Was it?
Hurricane Maria.
Yeah, that came on the papers too. Yeah, that was we did it inside what you call that one of them places where they hook up the cars. He gave us a wall. I think it's still there.
okay,
That mirror's still there. Yeah, me and Per.
that's nice.
Oh, that one is in on 174th Street. That's near the train station, D train. That's this guy who gives me these walls. 'Cause he cleans that whole area there. He actually comes out himself and keeps that place area clean. So he gives me a little bit of money that he can for the cans, and I put the rest, you know. But he always tell me he always wants something strange, and I do it because I never did it. You know, I mean, never did an ambulance before, I never did a fire truck. That's why I do it, you know.
You got the World Trade in there too. So that's like a memorial for 9/11.
No, to tell you the truth, they all different days, different times.
Okay.
That was all done all at the same time. It's just me adding.
Okay, it's beautiful work.
Oh,
That's a big one.
Yeah, that's a good picture. I don't even got that.
I got that picture. What?
I gotta
Maybe
get that.
3 months ago. I was just walking
I
by.
never saw it like that. I'm always up close to it. Yeah, that's a Rite Aid pharmacy.
Yeah, yeah.
We
and-
did see at that time in the beginning. I had creative freedom. They don't know where to go with it. So I started doing, you know what I mean, whatever, you know what I mean. And then they grew a brain, and then they wanted something with greenery. And this was the first test right here.
it's still there. Now you did the other side too. So the
Yes.
next slide should be the other side. Yeah,
Yeah,
there
that's
it
the
is
front. Yep, that's the same wall. That's the front. Yep.
there. Very
And you got to
nice.
remember, I got to keep it with these colors. I mean, well, here they destroyed it too, but I ended up fixing it. You know what I mean? I knew it was going to happen. That's why I kept the bees high. But you got to remember, you know what I mean? Everything's not promising. So it got defaced a few times.
So what actually is like? What is that actually? It's like flowers.
That's what it is. Flowers with greenery in the bottom and the sky coming to a certain level. It's just to keep it easy to clean in case it damage it.
Oh.
That's how I do these work. Easy to clean when they damage it.
Right, right. Okay, next slide. This is Boone Avenue here.
Boone Avenue Walls, yep. That was the tribute for Per. I didn't do my name that year. I just did bees.
The honeycombs, right?
And the honey. Oh, yeah, all right. The background. I didn't realize I did all I did a lot of honeycombs.
Right, right. Okay, next slide.
Yeah, that was somewhere, that's my block. I did that for them because I like that. That's my restaurant right there.
Queen of Tacos.
That's where I eat. That's my Mexican food. So I bless them. Sometimes you got to give, you know what I mean, to receive.
Yeah, yeah.
So they got a free one, you know.
Right, right. All right, next slide.
Oh, that was for a show. You know what I mean, those were the big ass canvases. You can't tell how high it is, but they're big.
They're big. Okay.
You know what I mean? I still own like I think two of them. The other two they got sold.
Okay. Next. This is recent, right?
This is last year. Yeah, that was indoors. They're both indoors. That's my highest quality of painting cars now. I took my time that one. I had it, you know what I mean? I was a rush. I said, man, I did it. The only thing one BG suggested, I forgot, was that shadow on the floor. It looked like the car is real.
So what's behind all these different styles? You can almost paint anything.
Oh yeah, because it's suggested. If somebody wants something, first always was motors and engines and refrigerators. You start learning that crap, then somebody throws you, they want a car. You got a price for the, you know what I mean? You got the money for the car, you know what I mean? There's a detail, you know, and eventually you got to practice your craft.
And this is very different from style writing. This is almost art making, like, you know.
Yeah, this was the ultimate right there. As a matter of fact, you know what I'm doing? It's ironic. I'm doing that same. He got another store now. Now he got another place.
Okay.
I'm doing cars again.
Nice.
Need more cars.
It's good work.
Yeah,
Really
thanks.
good work. Next slide.
That was for, I didn't know, but the smoke shops, you know, there's no more smoke shops here, but in Jersey they are. That's for smoke shop in Jersey, some Chinese spot in Jersey.
You got the bee smoking too,
Yeah,
right?
yep. And I did,
With the
yeah,
top hat.
yeah. And the ceiling is done too.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. That's cool, yeah. This is a collaboration. You took me to
Oh,
shoot
this
this
was
one.
on Flight's Wall. Rest in peace, man. That was Flight's Wall on Kingsbridge. As a matter of fact, that's across the street. What you're gonna show next, you probably will, right? The Galactus.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to make that one last. I think that's last because you both
That's across
worked
the
on
street from
it.
the Galactus. Yeah, that one's still there, just
Yeah.
like that. Untouched.
Untouched.
Yes,
That's nice, nice.
that no longer exists.
No
Ah,
longer.
man, I hated that. Yeah,
Okay.
gone,
Next
gone.
slide. Nice slide.
Oh,
this-
that's for the FX wall. That's the Boone Avenue event too.
Yeah.
Oh, that looks nice with the greenery, huh?
Right.
Yeah, nature took its course.
So what's going on with the train falling off the track?
These people came with the idea. I don't know what I wasn't there for the idea, but just showing, I guess, the city and you know what I mean, I guess the decaying, what's going on there. I just I just elaborated and invited myself in and with
Yeah,
you
you
know what I
made
mean. Did the thing with the little swirl with the K, added a B, you know, I kept it simple, black and yellow, really
That-
brown and yellow.
That's some amazing drawing.
Yeah, I like it with the green. That's nice.
Yeah, yeah. Next slide.
Natural.
Okay, so we're gonna go into BG next.
BG
Go
turn.
go back to those other two. Okay, so here he talked a little bit about the founding of the TATS crew. That's like some early photos of the artist.
I think the first one is I was like in James Mural High School. I
Wow.
probably was like 15 years old, and I haven't even picked up a spray can yet. I was just an artist, so I was paintbrushing, and then I think this is like maybe early 80s. You know, I got my little gold chain on, a goatee, a Kango, you know, way before like Run DMC. So this is
Yeah.
like, you know, the style of, you know, like growing up with the fashion of hip hop. So not only that, before I was writing, I was into like, you know, like going into hip hop jams and doing stuff. And then the photo to the right is all of us in London. You know, like you got Brim in the middle, got Nisa, Bio, Chi Kid, and Volcan. And I think the other one is Goldie with the sunglasses. So, you know, there was like 1985. So, you know, like, you know, not only that we was like painting graffiti here, but we was also painting overseas in London.
Okay.
And
So
these like, you know, walls that we paint together. I think one of the first wall that when we started the company was the one to the right. We was doing a lot of Coca-Cola wall. So these ideas not from us. These ideas came from a competition that they had. Like Coca-Cola was trying to like get the name out there. If you look at movies, you always see like a big Coca-Cola sign. So they came out with an idea like we're gonna go into the schools and do like an award, like whoever come in first place get like $1,000, and second place would get 500, and then they had like some third place runner up, they'll get like $300. So they have all these students from elementary to junior high school to high school come up with drawings. So they came up with that drawing, and we just will replicate the drawing of the artist who won in each borough. And this is how, you know, we got paid, and Coca-Cola got the advertising done, you know, for doing that. And then the one all the way to the far left, you know, it's like, you know, painting with FX crew, like painting with like a total of, I think it was like 6, 7 artists on here. You had Sess, we had Crash painting here, Days, Bio, Nisa, myself. I painted a Keras one all the way to the left. There's a train scene on the top right. I painted that also. And then the rest of the guys like Nisa, and you see Bio's heart. We did a hip hop. You know, we do something like, you know, for the community. Like, you know, you see the Pirawa guy.
that must be a big wall then. I mean, the picture doesn't do the justice,
Right.
Because it looks small, but it must have been big.
Yeah, the wall is like the height of this wall, and it goes maybe to the end
Wow.
of this wall. And you know, like each artist,
Yeah.
you know, like it took us one day. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, each artist like would take one part, you know, like for me I paint really fast, like, so I could knock every scene quick. And then the bottom was like, this guy reached out to us that he had a contract to do like different schools, so we did this one in Harlem. So that's why it says Harlem. So this is when I started doing my hydrant. So then Bobby doing his heart, and then Nicer did the character. So when us three go paint, this is the idea that we do. Like we don't, okay, I do a hydrant here, you do the heart. Maybe we draw like some characters here with some students reading books, one kid playing basketball, and I think the one to the between the kid and the hydrant, I think she's doing some kind of like a yoga type of form, like exercising.
It's very special. And do y'all go in with a sketch? You just tell
Yeah,
each other, just go ahead and do your thing.
basically that's how it works. Okay, let's do plan A, plan B, and plan C, and and the rest is, But sometimes a sketch, because in this case, the people that's hiring us, they want some kind of like an idea, so we give them an idea, like rough, nothing with colors, just a pencil sketch of how it's gonna look.
Yeah. Okay, next slide.
This one is like a wall that we paint on Second and A. Like the Chase Manhattan Bank is not there no more. I forgot his name, but he was like the Chinese basketball player that like was like like he was a tall, so they was promoting him, so like he's supposed to be holding the world, but it's a shape of a basketball
Oh,
if you look at it. And and we painted that again. Those that took us like a day. And then we went back this year, and I did like almost like a cartoon comic book. I call mine now the character with the hydrant has a body now, so his name is Johnny Pump. So it says the adventure of Johnny Pump in the Lower East Side, and you see him. He's painting the train, and you see my tag, and and the buildings and all that. So I made it look like almost like a comic book
yeah.
page. So it's just having fun with it. Trying to do colors and everything else.
So how long Johnny Pump been around?
Oh, it just started this year, 2025.
Okay,
So he's the first one that we painted.
thank you. You got the scoop.
And this is a memorial wall. It's actually in Hunts Point here. He had passed away. It came on the news. What happened was he had a water gun, and he was driving with the water gun, and he actually sprayed a car that was next to him. And then I think the car that was next to him was some guys with guns, and they shot him up. And so these are like memorial. So he worked in this location as a mechanic, and that's his car to the right, and that's his car to the left. And you see him that he's like doing some kind of like metal work.
Yeah.
So this is what their friends and family want. Like, we do a lot of these memorial walls that we started back in the early 90s. And, we still doing them today. I think this one was painted early this year because the new owner buffed it, and then we had to redo it again a second time.
Okay.
So this is like a memorial wall. Thank you.
This is
And
school, right?
yeah, so like back in the 90s, we met a principal that showed us love, that he wanted to us to have like some kind of like a vendor license to do painting. He figured that kids in our neighborhood, that's what they see. They see all this in the 90s, they see graffiti. Why not bring graffiti into the school? So this came out like his idea. But these murals were are painted like maybe 2 years ago. But back then, this is what we was doing, painting inside the schools. And this one, if you read it, it says, "Don't be shy to talk about the culture." So this is like the entrance of the school. So when the parents come in or the students come in, it's something they could talk about. And I think the one to the left is the same school. So we painted like the whole school. And this particular one, we had like a total of like 8 artists. Like you had this artist called Andre on Crash Days and us. and they had a few more artists that painted. And the one to the bottom left, it's like I think it's a more like how you call it for battered women, like when they get, so they wanted to paint a mural. This is like in the backyard of the in the back. So when they bring their family or they have their kids with them, they have something to look at. So we painted that. And again, this particular mural that to the left, you know, they had a small budget, but for us, it's like, it's not about the money. It's like, what can we give? So we donated, like, like, just give us this money and we do it. Like King B with the tacos, like that.
Those productions, are you are you doing like each artist specializes in a certain section, or you just do it as like a team kind of effort?
No, like for us three, me, Bio Nicer, myself, BG 183, you know, I could do characters, I could do letters, I could do it all. But for us not to be bumping each other, we have Bio do all the letters and Nicer do the characters, and I could also do characters or letters depending what we're doing. So the character to the right, I painted that, and I think that the character, the total wall is like this big. So the face is like this small.
Hmm.
And that's all with spray paint, from beginning. And I think probably took me like maybe like a half hour to do. I really paint really fast when I do the this type of work.
Okay, all right, next slide.
And this is something that we did for the fish market here in Hunts Point. You know, they reached out to me. They wanted like, some image to be done. So I just got that's a picture from a turtle, and I just drew it on the wall. It's like I think it's like a total like maybe 8 feet by 7 feet high, and then then the killer whale. When I started sketching that whale, for me it was like, let me sketch the whale. But when I started sketching, I realized it was gonna be like 15 feet long. And, like, yeah, this shit is big. But, again, we use special casts. I use a fat cast, so I sprayed it really quick, and the wall's already white, so I don't have to really do any white in the white area. So as an artist, you picking out like what's the easier way. For me, I pick out what's the easy ways to paint. So the only thing I really had to do is just paint all the black, and then the whites to white, the grays, and then just finish it up. Like that took me like 4 hours to paint that whole whale, and then the total probably took me like 5 to 6 because it has more details. So
Okay, next slide.
this is something that we did in the Lower East Side, the top left.
Yeah.
We, like again, we like painting community stuff. So you start seeing like the coquito, the kids playing in the park. And so, like you were saying earlier, the breakdown is, so I did all the buildings
Hmm.
and all the background, like the stores and the windows, and then Nicer worked on all the characters on this here. So this is how we work, like the floor is really a painted floor that we painted, and we just have fun just painting, But that day that we painted was like the hottest day
Hmm.
of the year, like we had to stop. So this one didn't took one day. We had to come back the next day because it was too hot. The one to the bottom is some something we did for like an office space. Like he wanted like something to say New York. I think to the left we did big and small. You don't really see it. And then here we just put every image that's part of New York City. Like he wanted like a pizza, the Statue of Liberty. I think the land building, then the train, and then like some location. He got the bull. So we just have fun. Like we created this on paper first, and then they approve it, and then we just go there. And this one here, Bio again did the letters,
Hmm.
while me and Nicer did the inside
The inside.
of the lettering.
Yeah, yeah. And was that downtown?
That was downtown. And then let me see next. And then the one to the left, that's a 2025. We actually painted a wall that said, I love the Bronx. And what happened is, again, like they they went over the wall. So we had somebody that was working, and as a politician, he went, you can't go over tax crew wall. You got, if you go over it, you got to pay them to do a new one. So we went and we got this wall done. And again, you see, it says, I love the Bronx, by you use the heart for the love. And I painted my hydrant to the right. And then every image that's inside represent the Bronx. You got Yankee Stadium, you got the Bronx Zoo. They wanted something like from Arthur Avenue. So we did something from Arthur Avenue, like, and then there's a train, and I think something up in University up there. There's a section there to the right on the letter X, and then we did a radio and then hip hop.
Beautiful. It's like a real postcard.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then this one here was done for Coney Island. I think it was like 8 years ago. So we painted, this is where my hydrant started like getting the shape that I was looking for. And, like I painted a train underneath where I'm painting at. And I painted that whole section. Again, this whole thing only took us like one day to do. It's not like I'm there for like hours.
big.
Yeah, it's big, but it's just nothing but fat cap, putting the colors where the colors belong, and making it happen.
Yeah, yeah. Love it.
And the one all the way to the left is we used to have a wall on the Cross Bronx Expressway, and this is where we used to do like our advertising, like for like Fat Joe was dropping his album that day. So, all or nothing. So we drew him on the wall. We actually did Cuban Link up there. We did like a couple more artists. We also did like clothing lines on that one wall. The wall is still there, but I think it's being run by somebody else because the owner passed away, so we couldn't get the wall anymore. And
Well, those commission, well, you had access to the wall. But
right,
they paid you the record label.
right. The Craig labor paid us, through Fat Joe and everything.
Right, all right.
And then to one to the right, that whole image that you see there is done by me. So you see the hydrant, the train, the buildings. Like for me, it takes me, that whole thing took me like one day to do, and the wall is like maybe the high of the second pole up in the top. So, this one we had scaffolding, but we had to wait until like one person finished with the scaffolding. Oh, look, I didn't even see myself. I saw myself painting by the train. I just noticed that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah, it looked like I'm in the yard. So, again, just I know how to use colors. So the way I did the train is I paint the windows first, and then I go from the middle out. So I gotta do every window, and then I do the window shape, and I do the train and everything else for into place. The same thing with the buildings, in every building, when you see, I got 183 windows on them.
Wow.
So if you start counting, it's 183 windows. No, I'm not joking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got rims and everything. And then the one to the left is the Graffiti Hall of Fame. We just did like top to bottom burners. Like I try to keep it simple for people that never really read graffiti. Basically a lot of artists use capital letters for the letters. So if you look, it has a capital B and a capital G. And then that capital to the right was gonna be my signature before the hydrant. But I didn't really like it too much because everybody had a spray can with a cap on it. And then this one here
Is that
is,
to the roof?
yeah, this is the rooftop
Yeah.
where we at, and this is an old movie. I think I forgot the name of it with Charm Bronson. No, this is it's called Hard Time, and the movie's based on like the depression of people had no money, and I think in 207 or 208, that's when New York City, or there was no work. So I just wanted to create a mural that's it's about that. So I drew him. I drew my name like in wood, It says BG183. I drew like, like garbage in the side. But in this one here, I drew the actual the panel of the rooftop going into my to make it look like it's all one
Oh, one
part
piece.
or one like it's all together as one. Like the angle was off, but if you would have took it straight, it would have you would have see it like it would have went straight in. I just like as an artist, you're always trying to do something that's a little different, little something that's different from around the world because not only that you're competing as an artist here, you're competing as an artist around the world because these artists, you look at these artists in like in Europe, they're like you'd be like, wow, these guys are incredible. So for me, they always call me old school. So I'm trying to be part of like that new school way of painting. So this is what I continue doing.
See that PG-180 looks like 3D or like a computer. I can't say computer guy, but it looks unique. Like I never seen any other BGs 180.
Yeah, I always every piece that you see from me is never going to be the same. Like the shape of the letters, the colors of the letters, the background. I'm trying to do something different every time I paint.
Yeah.
So that's the way it is.
All right. All right. Next slide.
So again, to the left, that's Rooftop Legend. It's a school up in the Lower East Side. With the all of us painted. So you see bio on the left side. My name BG183. I don't know who's. Oh, then we did a task crew, and this one we just used like hands coming out from the letters, like it's grabbing a marker. One guy grabbing a spray can, and the other guy's grabbing a marker. So each letter has something, and then the one that you saw, the Johnny Pump, this is a wall that I painted. Again, you look at the letters, it says BG183, and I drew, forgot that, that's Stewie, right?
Yes.
Stewie, forgot his name. I just decided to do Stewie. I don't know, like I think it was fun. He just standing on top of my piece was, I saw him flame or something like that. I don't know.
So
But
really interesting. Is that also because the paint companies are coming out with these dynamic colors for artists to kind of use? I know they have Pantons where you can buy the color chart,
right.
but do you have an idea of
No, like,
like what color you want to use?
no, for us, it's like, the colors where we get the colors is from jobs that we do. We do work for like big company and we have extra cans. So if you ever go into my little like you see like almost like 800 cans in there, like, so what we do is we grab all the cans and we just paint. So, buyer will grab his own can, Nicer will grab his own can, I will grab my own can, and basically everything that you see there is not even pay. Like we didn't pay for the paint. It is, the paint paid for itself. But as a graffiti artist, it's not easy because you really have to have money to become a graffiti artist because each can costs like from $6 to $10.
Yeah.
And so if you see other people's work, they don't have as much colors as we do. Like, we fortunate that we could afford different colors. So I have like shade from light all the way to dark blue, from the lightest yellow to the darkest yellow. So we have all the colors that we could use. That's why when you see our pieces, it's like it has a lot of colors.
Have you ever had a sponsor before? Paint can sponsor, or you just
No,
done so much work? You
no,
have cans.
no spray cancer. So, Black Lives Matter reached out to me, and they wanted this murals to be done, and so they had a really big budget. So, for us to paint that, me, Bio, and Nicer we never would have finished. So we hired a total of like each artist had a letter. So that's how many artists we had painted. So we had like Andre, Mark, Cyanite, I think like two or three, Matalicia, she got involved. So everybody painted their own letters. So, it was fun, but the hardest thing was to lay out these letters. So lucky that we had a friend that gave us like so the each letter is like probably the height of the wall. So to do a sketch like that, and I think this is like more than 300 feet, 400 feet. I don't know how long it was, but but each art and each letter is not done by us. It was done by three artists.
Graphic designers, right?
Like one artist painted the black.
Yeah.
There was an artist, but when I sat down with them, they had like these artwork that was like, yo, I told them, yo, tone it down because you doing it on paper, but for us to paint it on the actual floor, it's not gonna happen. Can you tone it down? So each artist, you know, did me a favor and they toned it down. Like they made it more easier for us to paint. But not only that, this is not on the wall. This is on the floor.
Yeah, it's by the courthouse, right?
Yeah, about the courthouse. And I
Downtown.
think like 2 or 3 people fainted that day because it was like again one of the hottest days that we painted. We like, yo, what happened to this artist? And then he came back for, yo, I had to go to the car, get some AC. So each artist, really, really got busy, and I think we knocked this whole out like in 4 days.
It was in the newspapers too. I know the media really covered that. So, did the producer, did they hire a photographer to shoot it from the sky?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh.
I know. This guy had the Black Lives Matter. They have big budgets, so they could, have. I don't know how they took the photo. I know I saw it in on the internet, on the news like this, same way you saw it.
Yeah. All right. Great. All right. So this is a collaboration piece. So both of you can talk about this piece.
This is a sketch I had on paper, and I wanted to always do Galactus. You know what I mean? That's my favorite character. One of my favorite characters. I wanted to work with the grays, with the color of the wall, and elaborate with the B. But then when we reached out with B, just said we got to do something together. You know what I mean? And doing something attacking the Galactus, showing the powers of him with the water, showing the powers of the bee. Because my bees, they got superpowers. They, you know what I mean? They mutated. Oh, that's what we did. We lingered on that. So you see all the little bees and the little. I didn't even see that one up there. You know what I mean? The little hydras.
Yeah, so when King B reached out to me, he said, "Look, let's do something." So I like, let's do like little hydrant, little bees, like attacking. So that's how I think we spent like a whole day, right?
Yeah.
Like a whole
Yeah.
night. I didn't get home till like 3 in the morning. But I love painting at night. I think nighttime painting
Yeah,
for
me
me
too.
is perfect. One is like, you're not getting stopped by somebody like, what you doing? Are you a graffiti artist? You right? Are you using a spray can? I'm shaking a can. Are you using a spray can? Yeah, I'm using a spray can. But I think painting at night for me, you could see the true colors. Like, if you're walking on a wall during the day, you could see it just like this. But at night, some walls
Yeah, yeah.
at
They
night
got
doesn't
different
look
look.
good. So I like to paint at night. I see to make sure like every little highlights, little images could pop out. So any type of work that you see from TATS crew, this is what you see. You see like it's a day, and also you can see it at night. So you could take pictures any day of the day.
So when you say at night, do you have lights on it, or you just it's pitch black?
No, it's natural light.
Oh, using natural light.
Like the light from the traffic, the light
Oh,
pole.
like that.
So
Okay.
so as like if you were a photographer, you still could take a picture at night.
Yeah, yeah, I know. With
So we
with
make sure
flash.
that even photographer or somebody that's a fan or somebody that's just walking by, they could enjoy the mural, whatever, 24 hours of a day.
Right. And that's a grocery store or
A deli in the corner.
deli.
Yeah, in the Bronx.
Right. Great. That's great.
It's still there.
Still there. Yeah. No, it's a great piece. So now, if any of the audience has any questions, just raise your hands for the audience and say what you want to ask. Don't be bashful. All right.
Question for you.
Okay,
How many books do you have?
I got like I've been doing books since 1984. So I'll say like 30 books. But I didn't start with like taking pictures. I was writing poetry. I entered contests. So my first like book that I ever like written was like 1982, and I was living in Los Angeles, and I wrote a poetry book about growing up in New York, and I entered it into a contest at Yale University. I didn't win, but a few years later, I was able to meet somebody. They gave me some money, and I self-published it. But yeah, 30 plus books covering urban culture for 40 plus years, and I didn't really start documenting street art till about 8 years ago when I had an opportunity to work with James Top at the Graffiti Hall of Fame. Graph books, I have about seven graph books, yeah. And I did my first one with the Graffiti Hall of Fame, and then I did one on Black Lives Matter, and I was able to get a lot of press from that. And then I worked for this billionaire called Moist Manor, and he had two festivals, one in Jersey City. It was a graffiti arts festival. I photographed that, made a book, and then he had one in Miami. And I went down to Miami, photographed that as well, and I did two books around that. Yeah, so like seven or eight graffiti books, and I have a new one coming out in October. 6 years of street art in New York, and that book really deals with the art of using aerosol cans to make art across the city. So I went across the city for 6 years, shooting street art in all the varieties. So I shot style writing, murals, street art, and social justice. And this book encompasses that, but it also is it's a period piece of where the art movement is today versus what it was 50 years ago with subway cars. Because a lot of books really were concentrating on the subway cars, but there are other books as well. But I felt New York really needed to bring the art movement up to date. What's going on the streets today. And that book really deals with what's going on in the streets today. And I'm happy to say these two artists are included, providing King B don't sue me. And BG 183, all right, for shooting their work. Because they're going to get lawyers. Just kidding, guys. All right, but yeah. Thanks for that question. All right, yeah.
You're both extraordinary artists. And I was so happy to meet you, King B, because the mural that you did on Morton Williams' store, that's my former neighborhood, and every time I pass it, it just caught my eye. I just had to stare at it. It's really beautiful.
Thank you.
BG, I'm wondering if you ever kept in contact with some of the guys who rejected you initially, and how do they feel about your success?
They come around the office and they hang out. I think there's some in the audience too back there.
Oh, yeah.
Nah, it's my boy Maze. We grew up together back in the early '80s. He's part of TATS crew. No, I think we all family. I think everybody. After a while, they just they knew that I wanted to become a graffiti artist, so they gave me the respect and the love. So to this day, like some of them are still painting, some of them are not painting, but for me, it's like we still family. You know what I'm saying? So I still see old school. They still show me love. They know that even with the fame, I don't feel that I'm famous. I just feel like I'm just doing something that I just love to do, and they know that. They know that I'm real with that. So it's not like I'm faking the funk or I'm showing off, but I just love what I do, and I just keep doing it, and you know. That's my boy Maze back there.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Any, go right ahead.
Yes, I painted up in China, Finland, Paris, painted up in Ireland. I was fortunate that that I did artwork, and these guys, they love what I did back in the early '80s. That they flew us out there. Like we don't pay for no flight, we don't pay for hotel, and we do a graffiti event. And with that graffiti event, I get to meet other artists. So at the same time, I could fall back and watch other artists paint. As for me, I'm still learning. No matter if my skills level is up there, but there's different techniques that everybody use. So I try to use that. So, so when I travel the world, I'm over there being humble. Like I remember going to China and being in China. I remember, I had a do rag on, like a New York style. And they asked me, "This is what they wear in New York?" I said, "Yeah." And the next day, they all were dressed the same like me. I was like, and I'm looking, I'm like, oh wow, like because New York is the fashion of everything. So when we get to travel, this is what you see. You see, like the culture is always the same. You're gonna have like a poor neighborhood. You're gonna have the rich neighborhood. Everybody like you feel like, oh, I was born in the South Bronx. It's really bad, but there's a South Bronx everywhere. So you get to see that culture, and then when they get to see you, they like, oh shit, you really down to earth. I'm like, yeah, yeah, I could relate what you coming from, and we give ourselves a hug. Even we don't even speak the language. Sometimes you go to these places, they don't speak English at all. The only thing you could do is like me paint there, and then and I paint here, and we have fun doing that.
As for me, I never been nowhere, but 2 years ago I went to finally Mexico, and this year I'm going to London, the end of this month.
Right.
I know, right?
Right.
Been a minute.
Yeah. Any any more? Oh, go ahead.
So thank you to both of you for sharing your story. I'm also a multidisciplinary artist, so it's very inspiring hearing you both sharing your journey. And I'm also from the South Bronx, so a lot of similarities. My question is for both of you. Now in this day and age, being a visual artist, a lot is like promoting yourself online, making a presence online. Obviously back then that was very different. And even before you gain recognition, like you're known by your tag, right? So before you even got to that point, both of you, how were people like finding out who you were? Like how were people getting in contact with you, like seeing your artwork and knowing that that was you, the person, and like getting those connections?
Phone number.
The phone number. That was the thing right there.
But like even so, someone saw your tag, that's so and so, I know him. Like that was not like word of mouth, like.
Well, fortunately with me, I wasn't really too greedy on the tag thing. I was more with the murals. So me putting my name, putting my number, that's how they contacted me. Yes, definitely. You know,
For to start out, it's that you got to continue doing what you're doing. you know, Even your friends, when they look at you, they know you're an artist. They're not knowing that, oh, I just gonna go to work. Again, like I was saying earlier, like you have to give yourself a full time every day. It's not like, oh, I'm an artist, and then later on, oh, I got to go to work. So you just gotta, you gotta push yourself in a way like you're gonna become a starving artist from the beginning. But the way to put your name out there is just like King B is like a business card. Continue meeting with people that does art. Like for me, I was a toy, and then now they accept me. So you got to meet with people that do the same thing that you doing. And that's how you people start knowing your type of work. Instagram, the only thing about Instagram, it only survives like 1 hour. So after you post, it's gone. Other people's gonna be putting other stuff there. So if your stuff is not really like eye popping, it's just gonna be pushed to the side. I like using hashtags. So whatever image that you pushing out, you hashtag that. If you're doing hair or you're doing hands, so you hashtag those things, and then people start liking what you're doing, and hopefully they reach out to you. Look, I want your work, so galleries, you gotta go everywhere, just be in competition and anything that you could do to be there. Like, like today it's a good thing. Maybe somebody in the audience heard what you're saying, they reach out to you. Oh, you like to do, art? Maybe you could, have a gallery coming up. So the more you promote, the more you speak out is how you get that fame. Usually it take a whole year. For me, it took me years before I became, person I am now. You know, but the more you do it, the more, but you just got to do it and focus on that. Like don't say, okay, I'm doing this, and then next year I'm gonna do this. So now you forgot, but if you continue, you see a big difference by a year or two.
What he means by that, like say, you gotta remember, he's talking about a full-time artist. But there's a lot of artists out there, part-time. Full-time artists live off the art. That's different. That's what he's talking about. That's how we are. So there's a difference.
Any more questions? If not, okay, let's give it up for BG 183 and King B. Yeah, Kurt Boone, thank you.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, thank you everybody for coming out. And this is for you. Oh, that was you? Yeah, man.
Thank you very mucho, my man. What's going on? Absolutely. Thank you so much. The right, yeah, I was about to say, here he is, the right ear king. Always working on that.